one of those pardoned, although he didn't ask for it preemptively, for former member of the January 6th Select Committee, Republican former Congressman Adam Kinzinger. So again, you were pardoned. You didn't ask for a pardon. It was preemptive just in case Trump's Justice Department goes after you and other members of the January 6th Committee. What was your reaction when you saw Trump's post last night declaring your preemptive pardon void and vacant?
Well, first off, I'm trying to figure out what he's trying to distract from, because that's what all this is, always a distraction to try to get people's attention, or maybe he hasn't felt like he's got enough attention. But look, Jake, it's like, bring it on. Like, honestly, so, we had an election. I fought against Donald Trump. I wanted Kamala Harris to win. January 6th was a big thing, but America made a different choice. Fine. I'm ready to move on. I'm like, look, we made it very clear what happened on January 6th. America made a decision. There is one person that's obsessed about the 6th because he still has been basically deemed guilty in the court of public opinion, and that's Donald Trump, and he can't handle it. He obsesses about it. So my reaction to him is like, you know what? Then bring it. Like, stop talking about it. Stop being all verbose. Stop pretending like you're tough. Bring the charges then if you really want to do it, because we will crush you in court, and it'll make me 3 times more effective against you. Look, honestly, Jake, I'm ready to move on too. But if he wants to keep bringing it up, bring it up or be quiet. That's how I feel.
I want you to take a listen to what President Trump said about the pardons on Air Force One last night.
It's not my decision. That'll be up to a court. But I would say that they're null and void, because I'm sure Biden didn't have any idea that it was taking place.
Could you hear that okay? I can read that too if you didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you think Trump's move to say the pardon in his view is void is because he wants to investigate the January 6th committee members? Or do you think this is more about trying to reopen a discussion about President Biden's mental acuity, which of course could also serve, as you say, as a distraction?
It's probably a little of both. Look, I think he's obsessed with January 6th, and there's no doubt if he could break the law and come after us, he would. And, again, we'd crush him in the court of law. But I also think, yes, look, if you everything about, he'll give, when he had Zelensky in the Oval Office, he was going after Joe Biden. This guy obsesses about Joe Biden because the only time he ran against him, Joe Biden beat him, and that bothers him. And so yes, I think it's constantly trying to change people's view on Joe Biden because he gets stuck. He's trying to negotiate a solution to the biggest war in Europe, but the guy is obsessed with this vengeance. Donald Trump, you won. At what point are you like, yeah, I won. I'm vindicated. I feel vindicated. But he can't. He's a small man that just continues to get angry, and it's like, fine, bring it on then.
Here's some news for you that you probably don't know. President Trump just posted on Truth Social that he is ending the U.S. Secret Service protection for 2 of President Biden's kids, President Biden's son Hunter and his daughter Ashley. What's your reaction to that?
It's just childish. He did it for John Bolton, Mike Pompeo. This is just a way for vengeance. And by the way, Pompeo was a big supporter of Donald Trump. This is dangerous. Somebody's going to get hurt. And when they get hurt, it's going to blow back on Trump. And, look, I hope the next president doesn't do this to Donald Trump. And I mean that, and his family. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do now. He's a very dangerous precedent. And again, this is what happens when you put a 78-year-old toddler in the White House, unfortunately.
Former Congressman Adam Kinzinger of Illinois, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Out front now, former Democratic Mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio, along with David Urban. So, David, with all this other business going on, like we were just talking about, maybe challenging the going to the Supreme Court, the constitutional challenge here. Why pick this fight on pardons, especially when it's not even? What authority would you have to undo the pardons of a prior president?
Yeah. So, Aaron, I'm not quite sure he's looking to pick a fight in undoing the pardons. I think it's the broader question here is whether Joe Biden, and I think what the president's trying to drill down on is how much was Joe Biden present for mentally during his tenure as president, especially in the ending months. We all sat and watched the debate, and I think everybody felt very badly for Joe Biden in that instance because it was clear that at least on that instance, on that night, at that debate, he was almost non-compos mentis. And so I think what Trump is saying is, look, was he all there? Did he have those faculties at the time that he was doing this? And I think that he was questioning that and putting that out for debate. And I think it is worthy for debate on how much the former president was engaged, and I think it's something that the history books will look into a great deal.
Perhaps they will. I don't know, though, in the lens of pardons. I mean, I guess we could look back and see who Reagan pardoned in his final days. I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying if we're going to go back to presidents where we knew there were issues at the end, and I'm not saying we do for Biden. I'm just saying with that argument, I would go back to Reagan.
Oh,
if,
sure
and
we
not
do.
many
I mean,
others.
Aaron, everybody saw it for Biden. We all saw it for Biden.
Yeah,
Sure
I'm
we
saying
did.
I don't medically know anything is all I'm saying, David. I understand what we saw at the debate,
Okay.
but Mayor de Blasio, I mean, what's a precedent set by just saying even a pardon is something that, and by the way, I think all the pardons are kind of gross, no matter who's doing them, but they exist. They're the rule, they're the law. And if all of a sudden I could pardon you and the next person could come in and take that away, that's more instability.
That's what we call chaos. There's no verb for unpardon. We don't have any.
Yeah, I was looking for the word.
Yeah, we just don't have that, and it never has been in our history. What's worse to me is not just saying, oh, we want to undo it because we want to undo it, but it's about January 6th. Now, I remind you, the vast majority of Americans think something really bad happened on January 6th. They saw it with their own eyes. They saw our Capitol attacked and desecrated. So when you think about it, this is really extreme to say, let me go after the committee that was looking into that. Duly constituted committee, bipartisan committee that was looking into that situation.
Yeah.
We're going to go after them, and in fact, we're going to take away their pardons. That's extremism. That's something I don't think the American public could ever buy into. On the auto pen, like when did the auto pen become an issue in our society? Like that's ridiculous. And with all due respect to David, who's a very smart guy, we saw Joe Biden in the final days of his presidency. He was making tons of decisions. He was obviously in charge. His staff was in charge. His counsel was there. These were official pardons. There's no two ways about it.
I mean, certainly, David, you're not going to argue with the Hunter Biden pardon wasn't done with full knowledge of the president.
Listen, I'm hopeful the president would have. I argued on this network the President Trump should have pardoned Hunter Biden, right? So
Yep.
surely Joe Biden should have pardoned him. But yeah, Aaron, look, I think the bigger point that President Trump was trying to make was simply that Joe Biden may not have been cognizant for lots of what was going on during his presidency,
All right.
trolling a bit.
All right, right. And maybe to try to distract from some of the other issues out there right now. Mayor, I want to have you each a chance to respond to this. The former director of Project 2025, right, which had gotten so much publicity during the campaign, tells Politico that Trump's second term is aligning with his vision for Project 2025 so well that it is, quote, beyond my wildest dreams. Beyond my wildest dreams. Even though this is what Trump said during the campaign, I'm just giving a few examples here. There are many more where these came from.
I have no idea what Project 2025 is. I have nothing to do with Project 2025. We have nothing to do with Project 25. I don't know what the hell it is. It's Project 25.
That's like I did not have sex with that woman, Ms. Lewinsky. I mean, come on. Yeah, obviously, Project 2025 was authored by his own former team, and now he's not just implementing it, he's implementing it with incredible energy and focus and extremism. I think this is going to be the story of the beginning of the Trump administration, that everything was as extreme as it possibly could be, and the American people are not into extremism. But on top of that, he lied about knowing about it. And that's going to catch up with him soon.
Do you think it ever will, David? I mean, by the way, it is something to contrast
Aaron,
those statements with it's happening beyond my wildest dreams by the guy who wrote the thing.
Yeah, so Aaron, look, we've talked about this ad nauseum, right? Project 2025 is an amalgamation of lots of things the Republican Party believes in, right? Smaller government, getting rid of some of these things. And here, I'll just put a pin in it. Right now, there was a poll out yesterday, I think. It was released by NBC. Right track, wrong track. 44% of Americans feel the country is headed in the right track, right?
44, yep.
Aaron, that is the highest number. I'm sorry, 44%, right?
Yep.
That's the highest number since 2004.
Yep.
So if Donald Trump, if the American people don't like Project 2025, by the way, in November, it was 29%. In the Biden administration, it was terrible. So Donald Trump gets elected. The Americans believe the country's headed in the right track, highest number in 21 years. So I'm not sure that it matters what Project 25 says or doesn't say. I think it matters what this administration is doing.
I'll give you the final words and save it at the first. But he has a point. I mean, the right track, wrong track is a pretty powerful number.
And look at the numbers on the economy. And look what people are saying now about Donald Trump, who they used to believe on the economy. They're losing faith by the day. because they see these tariffs out of control. They see tax cuts coming for billionaires. This whole thing is starting to crumble. And I think it's really important to recognize Donald Trump has chosen an extreme path, and people are starting to respond. And they're saying, wait a minute, this is going to hurt me.
And we'll see what
Mr.
happens.
Mayor, the
All
only
right,
thing that's
yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I was going to say, Aaron, the only thing that's crumbling is the Democratic Party, 29%. Mr. Mayor, come on. Give us our due. 44%, right track.
Just watch, brother.
Democratic
Just
Party,
watch.
29%. Come
Just
on.
watch.
All right.
We're winning.
A conversation to be continued, as you said, David. I'll put a pin in it for now.